What's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and happy Monday to everyone. I hope your week has kicked off to an amazing start. Tonight, I'm really excited about everything that's going to transpire on tonight, and you guys already know the preliminary things. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead subscribing to the YouTube channel, and while you're there, click on like and notifications so you can be notified each and every time a new video is uploaded to the site. And then if you are not following me on TikTok and Instagram, if you don't mind following me there on both platforms, I am the Dope Ass Dude podcast on both TikTok and Instagram. Again, that's the Dope Ass Dude podcast on both Instagram and TikTok. And then if you're on the go, you can always listen to the podcast each and every Tuesday through Monday, or every day. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then you guys know you can watch the podcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And let's go ahead and get these preliminary things out of the way. You can follow Kortney, my guest tonight. Kortney, Yolanda, and Leigh. You can follow them. Kortney can be followed at FunSize5784. Again, that's FunSize5784. Leigh can be followed on Facebook and Instagram at J. Allen Leigh. Both Facebook and Instagram, J. Allen Leigh. And Yolanda can be followed on Instagram at Yolanda the Therapist. So you guys remember the sitcom What's Happening? Roger D, Rerun, Shirley, and I can't think of the other guy's name, and I can see him in my head right now, but I can't think of him. But if you remember, Roger's mom was a single mother, and she was raising Roger and Dee alone, and there was sometimes Raj was there by himself and he had to raise Dee, on his own. So the podcast tonight is based on that episode with single mothers raising Black boys into men. So I'm really excited because each one of these ladies that's on the podcast tonight, both of them, all three of them are single mothers, and they're doing an exceptional job raising these strong Black men. So let's go ahead and bring them on out. Yolanda, what's up?
Hello.
Hello. Leigh, what's up?
Hello.
And Kortney, what's going on?
Hey.
She's gonna be
love you, Kortney,
tonight. She's gonna be the firecracker. So Yolanda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I have two wonderful adult sons, ages 23 and 20. I also have a 3-year-old grandson. I'm a social worker / case manager during the day, in the evenings and weekends. I am a therapist, have my own practice, dibble dabble in t-shirt design, used to do treat making, that became too much, and just love life, love people. That's me. Yeah.
That's it.
In a nutshell.
That's it. Yeah. You don't want to tell about being a therapist and how
I said a little bit of that. I'm a therapist. I have my own practice. I see clients in the evenings and on Saturday mornings. My focus is depression and anxiety, as well as codependency. Practice is me first. And I actually came up with that title because that was my struggle, was how to put myself first. And that, kind of goes back to what we're talking about tonight with being a single mom, like taking on so much stuff and taking care of my boys and everybody else. It was difficult for me to pause and take the time for myself. So I was like, you know what? It's past time. So I began the work, went to therapy myself, and now here I am trying to pour into other people who struggle with the same and with putting themselves first and making sure you make yourself a priority. So
awesome. So Leigh, tell us a little bit about you.
I am a music teacher. I teach elementary music. I've been teaching for 24 years. And then I make handbags. I do handcrafted leather bags. So people can order any type of bag they would like, and it can be done any way you would like it. And then I have a son who just turned 18. He just graduated from high school. He'll be going off to college in St. Louis. And he just got his Eagle Scout, and he's been doing some great things. So it's pretty exciting to see all the things he's doing too. So
awesome. And Leigh, I just can't let you slide by bags. I can't let you slide. So guys, I've purchased like 2 messenger bags from Leigh before, and I'm telling you, these bags are exceptionally made. You guys may have seen them on my pictures and so forth because they are simply amazing. I mean, it's like going into the store. She even allows me to like kind of design my stuff a little bit and signature colors, and she even give you that option to do it yourself too. If you have a handbag, you can pick the color out and all this, the stitching. So it's really not like she just making it seem like she making these handbags at Trader's Village. No, it's not those that you see in Trader's Village. And she uses the same leather that Birkins use on their person. No lie, the same leather. It's just amazing. So I got to pub her up myself since she's not gonna do it. And get her bag, you can go to her website, jallenlee.com. And I'm telling you, you're going to love what you see out there. Leigh, you got any shows coming up?
I will have a show. A lot of them start coming up towards the end of the year. So the end of October, I'll be at J.J. Pierce High School for their Pacesetter Bazaar. And then I'll do the Etsy market. I think that's the first weekend of December at Gillies in downtown Dallas. The Snowflake Bazaar, which is in Plano West High School. And that's I think November 16th and 17th, something like that. It was mid-November. And then Black Friday weekend, I do Circle R Ranch and Flower Mound. So and then I've applied to be at the Argyle High School too. So
nice.
And there's a couple others that I've looked at into trying to get into. So I just come and bring my full display and then, all the leather samples and everything. And so you can see the bags and then decide if you like, you can buy one that's already done or you can fully design your own.
Yeah. Wow. And guys, I'm telling you, she makes statement pieces. No lie. Like when I travel with her bags, someone always stop me and ask me like, where did you get that bag? And this is no lie. I mean, someone always asks me that because they're always good quality bags. And I've retired all of the 2 bags that I have. I just shared with her before we started, and I need a new bag now. So I always pass my bags down to someone else because they are just so amazingly made. So Kortney, what's going on? Tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, I have a son. He's 16, just turned 16 in May. Single mom. That's why I'm on the show. No, I work in customer service. Also, I do warehouse work at the nighttime. It's pretty much nothing, enjoying my life as a single mom. That's it.
Nice. Now, you excited your sorority sister, Kamala Harris, is going to be running for president?
I'll be there to vote for her. I'll be there.
Kortney's an AKA, so yeah, she's an AKA, so little AKA right there. Okay, that's what's going on. Okay, so ladies, let's get on to it. So my first thing I want to talk to you guys about, all of you are single mothers. I've known the 3 of you since before your boys were born. I know all of y'all seen you guys while you were pregnant, and you raised your young boys into extraordinary men. They're young men now, and they are doing some great stuff. So were there any challenges with being a single mother? And Kortney, we'll start with you. Did you experience any challenges?
Well, yeah. So when he was younger, it was kind of cool because I had my mom helping me with him. I mean, his dad is there, but my mom was really around more. And so, it was okay. It was just finding the right job to make sure I'm able to coincide with what he had outside of my working hours. So that was a big struggle. Then we got that down pat. But when we hit the teenage years, stuff went kind of left. I had to explain to him, you my first and only kid. I don't know nothing about this parenting a teenager. So in order for us to get through this, we got to work together. Like, you just can't get mad if I don't know something. I need you to explain special feelings so I can better understand you. But now, it's okay. It's okay. Besides, he want to drive my car every weekend and he don't put gas. So we okay.
So is it challenging for him to express himself to you?
I think so. Because I'm such a hothead and he knows, like, if he say something wrong or if, let's say, if somebody do something to him, he'll actually call his dad with that because he more calmer than me. And I go from 0 to 10 real quick. So he says I really don't listen good, but I really do. It's just he just don't get to the point quick enough. Just I don't need the middle part. Just tell me what happened, and I'm gonna find a solution. That's it. I don't need the middle stuff. So, but he tries to hide his feelings from me, and I know he do. That's why I like ask him like over and over the same question. He say, "Mom, you don't got to keep asking me." Yes, I do, because I don't feel like he's being truthful. So when I feel like I'm okay, I'm secure with the answer that he's giving me, I'm good. But other than that,
so do you think that feeling of him not being truthful or him not fully being truthful, do you think it's because you're a woman and he feel maybe you can't understand his feelings?
I think that do have something to do with it, but we haven't got that deep in it. But I think it's more so I'm more of a hothead. So he figured like anything he tell me, I'm gonna be upset because in his eyes, I'm not the fun parent. So I don't care.
Yeah.
Somebody got to put down a law around here.
Leigh, what about you? Have you faced any challenges being a single mom?
I do have this, yes, because for the longest time it was just me and CJ, so we didn't have, and I wasn't getting child support. I wasn't getting any extra support, so it was, and most of my family lived away. So luckily, I had a really good friend that helped me out. That I could call anytime if I needed a little extra assistance. But it was hard because it's like you have to try to figure out what can I do at home so that I can still spend time with him and be able to do everything we had to do. So there were quite a few challenges, learning to budget and, make sure that he also understood that there are certain things that we can't do. But God blessed me with, he is such a good boy and he's so patient. And so like even to go shopping, when we would go to the material store or anything, he would sit there for like 2 hours and just wait. And, I'd see these other kids running around and going crazy and their parents are getting on him and he would just sit and wait. And so I was like, I've been extremely blessed because he was such a good boy. So I'd say a lot of the challenges that I had came trying to figure things out financially.
So Leigh, let me ask you this here, because you seem to have it down packed, the balance of pursuing your dreams, but still being an amazing mom. So some people feel like they have to put their dreams aside until their kids get older. And then that's when they'll get out and do what they do. But like you've launched your business, you have all of these contracts that you're doing different stuff with different, organizations and stuff. So it seems as though you've balanced it out perfectly, that you're still amazing to CJ and you're still doing your thing. So how did you do that? How did you find that balance?
It was a difficult balance, but when he was little, I would make him, so I did screen printings when I first began so that I could make money, but it was something I could do at home in the garage. And I would make him sit outside in the garage with me and read books to me while I was working, and then I'd get him put to bed. But I would be up sometimes till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then get up again at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and work for a couple hours before I'd wake him up. So it was a difficult thing because you have to learn to figure out when you're going to sleep and when you're going to do things. But a lot of it wasn't necessarily I would have gone in more if he wasn't there, because there are certain things that you have to be responsible about. And so it's like a gradual thing. So like even with when I started doing the handbags, I started them about 8 years ago, and it was a little thing each year. So 1 year I would buy the zipper pulls. 1 year I bought the nameplates. 1 year. So it wasn't like full-fledged all out investing and just going for it. It was a gradual thing. And so it's probably been the last 2 years that everything has really kind of started to grow. But I also wanted to make sure that I only do like craft shows right now. I haven't tried to really just expand and get everything really out there because I wanted to wait until after he graduated, because I wanted to make sure that I was there for every single thing he had to do. But then there were some times that I couldn't be there. But I also explained to him that, you know, we have to make money. And if you want to go out to eat dinner because he loves food, then, you know, this is the way I have to work.
Yes.
Okay. So Yolanda, so what challenges did you face?
I think mine are going to be a little bit different. I faced most of my challenges when they were younger, and not necessarily with them. I became a single mom after my divorce. So I left my parents' home and moved out here with my ex-husband. So I never knew like life by myself or, you know, without having someone there. So then to have my husband leave, and I'm like, okay, now I got these boys in this house by myself. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I call my mom. I'm like, I don't have a clue. Like, how am I supposed to do this by myself? This is not what I wanted for them. I didn't grow up with just one parent in the home. So I struggle with, okay, now I feel like I have to do even more because I don't want my boys to feel like, oh, it's just mommy now, so I can't have X, Y, and Z. So everything that they wanted, I felt like I had to do what I needed to make sure they had it. So yes, I overcompensated a lot. I took on another job because I was like, I can't be without money. I felt like if they want to come and tell me they want to play football, I got to pull the money out of the account and make it happen. So I was working full time plus trying to do like little part-time things as well. And I was able to do that because dad was involved. So on the weekends when I didn't have them, I was working. So for me, I think my biggest struggle or challenge was trying to overcompensate because I didn't want them to feel like they had to do without now that it was just me. So anything that I could minimize with them feeling some type of hurt, I tried to do it. I didn't want them to see life any differently with just it being me.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest struggle.
Okay, so let me ask you this here, and I'm gonna come back and ask Kortney this as well. So, like, how did you find the balance of you? Because now you're doing your thing, and I know your boys were a little bit older once you, but they were around the age of, you know, Jaden 16, 15 when you start doing your own thing. How did you find the balance to do your stuff and still be the great mom?
Oh Lord, I think like Leigh, a lot of long nights. I did a lot of things at night because I had to, like I said, working full time, working another job. Then you got football with two boys and basketball, so I'm leaving one job, running to the game so I could be present for that. And I was like, good Lord, I'm doing all this stuff for the boys. Like, what am I doing for me? You know? And I finally got in therapy and she helped me through it. She was like, the problem is you're doing for everybody else and not for yourself. And this is when they were teenagers that, you know, I realized this. And so I stepped down from doing so much working because that was the biggest thing. You're working too much. That's why you don't have time for you. So I was like, it's my boys, this full-time job, and me right now. So I had to let go of part-time for a little bit while I get myself together, both mentally and, you know, figure out what are you trying to do? Because I didn't know. I felt like I was just, well, I was all over the place. So I just had to be still and figure out what the hell are you doing? Because I really didn't know. I was on autopilot, just going. Survival mode, just surviving. So we didn't do without.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was therapy and getting still. Like I had to just stop and say, okay, what are you doing here? Because I did not know.
Okay. And Kortney, what about you? How did you find balance?
Finding balance. I'm still working on it. No, like as far as right now, since he can drive now, it makes it so much better. Oh Lord, it makes it so much better. As long as he got gas in the car, he's good. However, I'm not one of those, oh, I got to go out every weekend type girl. But I try to make sure I go out once a month. That's when I get all queued up. Go out, enjoy myself. I want to drink, I drink. Now when I go on vacation, that's for me. Okay. I'll call him when I'm leaving and when I've landed. But there's no communication unless it's something important because I trust who he's with, his part-time mom, aka his aunt. So when I'm on vacation, it's just me.
Yes.
It sounds bad, but I just feel like if I'm 1,000 miles away, I cannot help you. Okay? If I'm in a whole nother country, I can't help you. So calling me to hurry up and get over here, if it's not life and death situation, you're good. Call your aunt, call your dad. Don't call me. Okay? like, again, it sounds bad, but that's the only way I give me some me time. I'm like you, how you said you just on the go. I literally work all day. And then the little time that I do have, that's used to take care of the house, go grocery shopping or maintenance on the car, whatever needs to be done. And then when I sleep ain't nothing but 5 hours. I'm really running off of fumes here. But he's smiling. He don't cry about nothing. And when all he got to say, if he wants, he gets. That's how we know. Sound pretty bad because he kind of spoiled, but we're gonna change that a little bit. But as far as I am,
no, you're not.
that's my baby. If I got it, he gonna get it. We ain't even worried about nothing. And that's why, like, when I would hang out with I had a set of friends. By the time like Uber and Lyft came popular, they was like, "Oh, girl, you can call him an Uber and Lyft." I watch too much TV. It's killers out there. I'm his taxi until I'm tired of being his taxi.
Yes.
But I take care of everything that he needs, and I'll worry about myself later. I'll be all right. I don't live my life. I ain't missing out on nothing. Same stuff in the street.
Yeah. So do you ladies think that there are, and I know Yolanda said that she felt at some point she did do this here, but do you all feel that you overcompensate because the dad is not present in the home? Leigh, do you ever feel like you overcompensate because the dad is not in the home with you?
Sometimes, but most of the time I think CJ has a good understanding because I put him into scouts mainly so that he could learn how to do all the men's stuff and be around men. And so, he was doing camping, but he learned how to change a tire. He learned how to change oil. He learned how to do simple woodworking, how to fix toilets, where everything, it's amazing the stuff that they actually learn how to do. Things that I can't necessarily teach him how to do because I've never had to change a tire or, I've never had, I know. I know how to change one. My granddad. So, yeah, so there's a lot of things that I've never had to do myself. And so I do feel like there's sometimes, though, that he did not get just because it was, he is spoiled, but I kind of feel like I was tougher on him because his dad wasn't there and he didn't really have the male role model except the men from scouts. And so I was a little bit tougher on him, I feel like sometimes. And there were some times that, like even 1 year at Christmas time, he really wanted an Xbox. And we happened to be at church and there were people that their water got shut off. And I told him we couldn't buy him an Xbox because we had to pay for her water to get put on. And he was understanding of that. But I think you have to teach them those types of things that sometimes you have to put other people in front of yourself. So there's sometimes that I try to teach him those kinds of valuable lessons that will end up coming back to him later on in the future, that you put others before you. You have to think about yourself, but you also have to put other people's needs in front of you because that's what Christmas is about. So, I do feel kind of bad because like by the time he was in kindergarten, he really knew Santa didn't exist. So, because he asked and I said, no, it's me. So, yeah. So I feel like because of it, you're more honest because you don't have anybody to help out to say, because it's like you're stuck right there when they ask the question and you're just tell them.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I'm with
you. Nice. Okay, what about you, Yolanda?
What was the question?
Do you believe you have? No. Do you? Has there ever been a time you felt you were overcompensating because the male figure wasn't in the house? And well, I know you said you did.
Yes,
or there are other ways you did.
I think those were the main things, and like she stated, like with Christmas, if they wanted it, I did teach, honey. It ain't Santa, it's me. I work hard for this. So if you want it, you pray. And we're going to pray that the Lord blesses you to have it. And then what your girl do, I'm going to go and, if I got to sell some T-shirts or whatever I got to do to make a little extra money, then I would do that because daddy wasn't here in the house and he would, help and buy things too. But if they asked me, I felt like I had to do it. Even though they didn't put that expectation on me, I put it on myself. Like I stated, I just didn't want them to be without and feel any lack. But I don't know if I was doing a good thing in doing that. because they didn't see mama struggle at all. I didn't complain about one single thing. I just did what I had to do. But now, as they're older, I have explained to them there were times I did not have it. And this is why I work so hard, but I don't want this for you. You know, there are other ways. Be honest and open. We don't have it right now. Maybe we can get it at another time instead of forcing yourself to do what you got to do to make it work. So, absolutely, I overcompensated, but I have been teaching lessons now that they are adults so that they don't do the same thing.
Nice. So, Kortney, I have a question for you. So, I remember this was years ago, and for everybody out there, Kortney is my niece. She's my niece. I love her to death. She was my sister Kayla's daughter. My sister Kayla passed a couple of years ago, so she's like my kid now. And her and her siblings, they're my kids. I discipline them like they my kids. But so we was one time we was at the house, and Kortney, I think it was at my house. We were having a family function, and Kortney's little boy was doing something, and Kortney said, "Boys don't do that." And I'm like, "How do you know? You ain't a boy. How do you know?" So, like, how do you all find that balance when you're raising your guys? Because I have a buddy now that I talk to, and he always said, "Well, men don't do this here, or men don't do this here, or women do this here, women." And I'm like, you can't generalize everybody in the same. These are the people that you deal with. This is your mindset. So how do you all raise these guys to be strong men, have their own identity, and not follow these? Because most women want to say, well, men lack emotion, but are y'all raising y'all boys to lack emotion? Kortney, like, how do you raise your boy to be strong, but still like be an individual?
I mean, it's just all about open communication, I guess. Like, we talk about everything. Like, if he going through something with his little girlfriend, we're going to sit, we're going to talk about it, or whatever the case may be. I don't, like, it's really no limits of stuff that we can really talk about. So I just know, like, it's, even though he know I'm high head, he knows it's still a safe space where he can come talk to me. I mean, as long as he ain't murdering nobody or doing nothing illegal, we good, because I done told him, if you do something like that, I'm your mama, but I'm gonna tell him, you got to go. You did it, you got to go. Because I'm not doing that kind of stuff. But anything else, like, he knows, like, it's okay if he have to cry about something. It's okay, like, that's okay, because men don't get to really express their feelings because they're gonna be looked down upon, which is stupid, because they got feelings just like we have feelings. So I don't want him to grow up and be like, oh, if he dealing with something, he can't go talk to that girl about it. And if he can't talk to her about it, she ain't the person he needs to be with. So it's just we just communicate about everything. And he knows it's safe. It's his home. And I always, like, even like I tell him, like, if he grow up, if he get into like a situation where, because you know how kids they just want to be so independent, they just go out, and some people, they don't learn how to save money. And he, don't get me wrong, he do spend a lot of money, but I have been gradually teaching him, you just cannot go spend because you have, because something might happen, so you're going to need that money. But I always told him, I don't care what the case may be, you will not be homeless on my dime. If things get rough, come home. There's no judgment over here, because I stayed at home for a long, long time with my mom, and I think that still helped me. And so I don't want him to just be out there having to do bad stuff so he can look good for his friends or image. Me personally, I don't care what nobody think about me, because at the end of the day, we taken care of. We never been evicted. Car never been repoed. None of that has ever happened in our lives. So, in everything he pretty much want. Now, don't get me wrong, he's kind of spoiled, but I know my limits. And I'll tell him, if I don't have it, we just don't have it. But sometimes I do have it, I just don't let it. That's how you gotta do that, because you ain't gonna run me wrong. We all women know we always say a little stash in behind. We gonna keep us some money somewhere.
Yeah.
So, Leigh, what about you? How are you raising CJ to be strong but yet vulnerable? You know, able to articulate how he feels without feeling any type of shame. How are you raising CJ to just be himself?
He's pretty quiet. And so I know there were a couple times, even in high school, I'd be like, so how was your day? And he's like, it was a good And I said, if you had a bad day, would you tell me? And he said, every day's a good day. And I said, but if you had a bad day, would you tell me? And he said, every day's a good day. And I mean, by the time he was done, and that's just kind of his personality. I know when he was little, I was one of those that was like, no, you may not do that. Boys don't do that. Like, when I'd be painting my nails and he'd want to paint his nails because I was painting mine. No, boys don't paint their nails. You got to be a boy. If he would start kind of, I remember he was probably like 3 and I hated roaches and I saw one and I screamed. And so it made him, so he started screaming every time he saw him. And so I had to not scream when I saw him, to make him stop. But I was like, boys don't scream, boys kill them. You're supposed to kill them. So it was like, I had to overcome that myself, just to make sure that there were certain things that it's just like, you teach them to kind of be the man of the house. I mean, it's like, so you try to nurture them, but you're also trying to teach them to step up to do things. Like, it's your job to take the trash out. I mean, it's your job to go mow the yard. It's your job, I mean, and yes, there's sometimes that I'm mowing the yard and there's times I take the trash out and everything. And so he sees all of that, but there's also times that you're just like, you have to kind of teach them, in a sense, their role as well, so that they'll be good for somebody else in the future. So I do have to say, I was one of those that definitely did say, no, boys don't do that. And, just.
Because these days that's considered toxic masculinity.
Yeah, but I was
everything has a name to it now. It's toxic masculinity. Yeah, that's toxic masculinity. Okay, so Yolanda, how did you do your boys? Like, are you teaching them to be strong but yet vulnerable? Because I think the vulnerable part is and that's why I'm stressing that, is so key, because it helps them articulate how they feel. And it keeps the rage down and all of that comes, because they can get it out. So how did you do your boys?
Yes. I first started with after the divorce, because my boys, and we're kind of alike in this way, we will kind of shut down and just kind of deal with things privately in our own way. So I tried to push them to talk, right? I could tell with my oldest, it was a little bit of anger in him. So I couldn't figure out, I was like, Lord, I know what's going on with my child, but I can't get him to open up and share exactly what's happening. So the blessing is Dad is very involved. So I reached out to him and said, hey, this is what's going on. I need some help with this. So he was very involved in talking to them about things like with emotions and things that men go through and all of that. And I also had them into, they only did one session, but we went to divorce care, where you could see it's okay to cry because your parents are no longer together. It's okay to talk about what you're feeling. But they was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to that. And when I asked why, they were open and sharing, because when I go, it reminds me that Daddy is not here. He is not coming back. And I don't want to be sad. And you had to teach them, like, it's okay to be sad. I'm sad too. I'm hurting too. This is why I'm going to this program. But, they just were not ready. So as a mom, I had to just continue to talk, ask them how they feel. When they get to be teenagers, they retreat to their room and you don't see them. So I'm like, Lord, my boys are depressed. Jesus, I got to get them some help. And so I would ask them that all the time. Are you depressed? And it was like, no, Mom, why do you keep asking me that? Because I asked on a regular basis, do you ever think about hurting yourself? Because I know this is painful. And it was like, no, I don't, Mom. Like, why do you keep asking? Because I need y'all to talk and tell me what's going on. And to this day, I do the same thing. Anything y'all need to talk about, I want you to know that you're open to talk to me. I'm here. What we talk about, it stays between the two of us. So I just try to let them know, you got me, you got other people in your life that you can talk to. You need a therapist, I'll refer you to one, but I just let them know, you don't have to keep it in. I know we did that for a long time, but that's not the way to be. And I'm going to stop in a minute, real quick. When my oldest son, he left, I said, okay, Cameron, you leaving my house and you're going to be with his wife now. But I said, you can't just leave her at home when you get upset and say, or tell her, well, you go to your mama house. I'm mad at you. You can't do that. So my question was, what will you do when y'all have disagreements or you get upset? He said, well, I'm going to have to suck it up and we got to sit down and talk about it. And then I was like, okay, you heard some things. So even when we don't think that they're listening, like they really are, and they're watching the things that we do. And I do believe that they watch how both me and their dad handle situations. So they tell me all the time, but this is what molded us into the men that we are today. And I was like, oh, y'all so smart. I love y'all so much. But thank you, listening and paying attention, even when, it's hard for us because you want to make sure you're getting it right. And am I teaching him the right things? And ladies, I'm going to tell you, we are getting it right. So, yeah.
Y'all getting it right. I agree with you on that. So raising a son, how has that impacted or grown each of you? Like, and I know, Kortney, you'll be leaving here shortly. So how has been raising a son, how has that grew you up, made you grow up? How did it change you?
I mean, as far as right now, I mean, it's like, okay, it's really like he think we homies. So like he just think like he'll come call me. We'll just be randomly talking. He'll say bro, and I have to always tell him, look, I'm not your bro, okay?
Yeah.
I'm your mom. You please refer to me nothing but mom. But it's just like it's kind of like we roommates / little brother / mom and son. It's just like all in one. Like so, I get to have fun like all around. Not like I always have to be so serious with him. But he's kind of much really in the stage where he really just kind of like, it's not that he wants to be alone. He in love with this little girl. So it's like I just kind of take a little step back, and then I try to give me some alone time with him so he can know I'm still here. We can still have fun. We can still talk about whole life experiences of whatever you want to do in life. But I mean, it have made me, honestly, dealing with him, it did help me how I want to deal with men, because it's like, okay, I don't want a man to be like rude. I don't want him to do like this. And it's like, oh, my son do this, but the man don't do that. Like, what was his mama teaching him? That kind of aspect. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty cool. I think he have grown me up a little bit more than what I was expecting, and still got a lot of growing to do, because that's I'm still a first time
you
mom.
had him in your 20s.
Like, yeah, but I'm still learning new stuff about him every day. It's not, this parenting thing don't stop. It just keeps going. Every day it's a new experience. So it's like, oh my God, now I got to figure out how I'm gonna have to work this in or work that in. But it's fun. It's not like nothing I don't think I can handle. Between God, y'all, my community, I know I'm good. So if I can't fix the problem, I know who I can call to help me. So I don't it's helping a little bit. So I like it. Nice. But I ain't got no choice really. So.
Yeah, you ain't got no choice. Leigh, and how has raising a son grew you up? How has it impacted you? Change what have you learned most? What's the most valuable lesson you've learned about you raising CJ?
Well, he's the only boy. So my sisters all have girls. So he is, and then, even growing up, I had stepbrothers, but they were a lot older. So it was just kind of, he's really the only boy within a lot of things that we do. And so not necessarily knowing certain things with boys that's been an experience. But the other thing too is that when he was probably by kindergarten, I decided I wasn't going to date, because I didn't want him to have anybody coming into his life that wasn't going to be there permanently. And it was because I didn't want him to think that it was okay. And, it's, so there's certain things that you have to do with them, I think, that make you change and refocus, because you're trying to make them become a young man that will be good for somebody. And you don't want them to, you don't want them to end up turning out, you want them just to be a good, wholesome, child, but you don't want them being a player and just, treating people badly or anything. And so I didn't want him to see people coming in and out and in and out. So I decided I wasn't even going to date. And so I think that was one thing that was really good, because he was, then it's like before, when I finally did decide to start dating when he was in high school, it was something I talked to him about before it even happened. Like, what do you think if, so I wanted him to be on that same understanding, but it was also, I just didn't want there to be, I think that was one of the things that helped me grow. And it also, I think you end up growing a lot more spiritually, because you're trying to teach them to be like a head of a house. And so, you have to pray for the meal, you have to do this. And so it's like, I think you grow spiritually a whole lot just because you pray a lot for them, because you have to pray that you're making the right decisions, because boys are way different than girls. And there's a lot of things that, once again, that the Boy Scouts was so good at, because there's all those dads there, and then he's around other boys. So he's learning a lot of things that I can't teach him. And he's able to talk to some of those adults and about things that he doesn't feel comfortable talking to me about. So I do think that it did help me grow a lot, and it makes you really kind of do a personal examination too, because it's like he's more quiet. And so then you're like, girls have a tendency to talk a lot. And so I do feel like that over time, I still talk, but I don't talk as much. So I do think that that's another thing, because there's certain things that they don't want you to tell people about. So there's, and so they have to know that but you also have to have that level of trust with them to know that they're going to make the right decisions.
Yeah. Now, how did he respond when you start dating? Did he feel a sense of jealousy because he's no longer the only man in your life? There's another man grabbing your attention?
No, he actually probably, he spent more time with him than I did. So I think it was like, for him, it was, he was pretty excited because he had somebody there that he got to see, like he had a dad figure that he was going to do stuff with. And so, the thing that was good is that he took him to go play basketball and taught him how to play basketball and did all of that kind of stuff that he wanted to do. And so I think for probably at least the first 6 months, I don't think he really saw it as that this is my mom is going to date. I think he saw it as, I have a friend to go hang out with, I think.
Okay, Yolanda, what is one of the things that you learned, one of the most valuable lessons you learned about your raising a son?
I think I'm going to say I had to learn to let go. I didn't want my sons to fall and bump their heads. I wanted to protect and shield them from things, but I had to get to the point to where, girl, they are growing up. They are older now. You got to let them grow up and be young men. Like, I wanted them to still depend on me for things. Like, even when my son got his first job, he wanted to pay for his own lunch and pay for his own gas for his car, bought his own car, like all the things. I'm like, I'm your mom. Why don't you let me do that for you? I want to do that. But I'm not teaching him to be responsible if I'm always jumping in and wanting to save the day and enabling him. That I had to say, no, Yolanda, you can't do this. Yeah, it hurts to see them go through stuff and make mistakes, but how do they grow up, be a man, and know how to make decisions for themselves if I'm always jumping in and wanting to fix it? So I had to learn how to let go. I'm still learning how to let go, especially now that they're not at my house. Now I got to learn how to just kind of guide and help you navigate things versus me trying to dictate, you need to do this, you need to do that. They've grown up, they've learned, they are great men, great decision-making skills. weigh everything out. Even when Cameron left for the first time, when he moved out, I didn't want that. Why are you leaving? You need to stay here with mama. I got this whole plan for you. Like, you go to school and then you stay here for X amount of time and save your money. Then you get your apartment. No, he came to me with the whole spreadsheet of his budget on how he could make it living on his own. And so that helped me to see, okay, your dad and I did something right in teaching you guys how to be responsible, how to make good choices, how to look at the pros and cons of the choices that you make. So it was just me having to, all right, Yolanda, sit up. You got to be a big girl now. This is where your growth comes, is you got to learn how to let them be young men. They're not boys or babies anymore. So that's the thing that I'm still growing in with both Cameron with his family and Caleb, who's in college. I'm still learning. Okay, I got to let him do it. It's painful to watch them kind of make, mistakes, but they bounce back. So you have to step back and let them grow up. So
you know what? It's crazy you said that, because I be just sitting here thinking my baby gonna graduate in 2 years. I be already getting depressed now, want to cry about it.
Yes, but they gotta grow up, and all the things that you have taught, you're gonna see it. So get ready, mama.
Want to cry.
So Kortney, and I know Kortney has to log off here. So I have one question to ask you. Raising a black son, so being an African-American young man, it adds another level of complexity to that. So when Jaden leaves home, do you have any fears when he leaves home?
Oh, I do. Actually, like when he leaves the house, like I don't go to sleep until I know he's in the home. I constantly check his location. Of course, I give him time to be home, but I just keep on, like, let's say if he gone 5 hours, I'm gonna call at least every hour just to see where he at, even checking the location. I'll be checking bank receipts and everything, because it's just so much that can be happening out there. And I always tell him, drive safe. The car window's not that tinted, but I told him, like, if anything ever happens, just, do what the people say. Just listen to them and do what they say. I don't need that back talk, because sometimes that's how just the most innocent person can be unalive, just by saying the wrong word that somebody don't like. And it's not just like with the police, it's just with people in general. People are crazy. You don't never know what nobody's going through. So I had tell him, like, even when it comes down to when he is driving, I be seeing he try to get a little road rage, and he don't do none of that. Because back in the day, you can drive and you can give them, the finger and go about your business. These days, you can't do that. You give them a finger, they gonna chase you down and pew you. So I don't want none of that. I just want you to come home safe. We can talk about it, whatever. But a lot of stuff is not even worth your life. So if somebody make you mad, cool, just walk off. It ain't nothing. It's just what I saw on one of my shows. Water's off a duck's back. It's just gonna roll out. So don't let it get to you, because I need you back home. Because when I go to work and everything, and when I used to work in personnel, and I give them a little tour about the exit doors, letting them know, it's not supposed to be crowded or anything. Because I always tell them, my baby is expecting me to come home. So I don't care what I got to do. I have to come home. And I expect the same for him. So whatever it is, it can wait. And like I told y'all, I'm high-headed, but I know my limits. I'm not going to get in front of the police or whoever and talk trash, because, again, we don't know what people dealing with. Even the little crackheads that we see on the corner. I don't even talk trash to them, because maybe they can jump in my window and try to attack me. I don't know. You just never know what people is going through, So you got to be prepared. Keep your calm brain. It's okay. We're going to be okay. Just get home. Whatever the case may be, get home safe. So, and, I told him, when it come down to the hands and everything, baby, just keep it there. If they want to see it, wait till they come to the car and ask. Don't make no sudden movements. We don't need none of that. I just saw in a video on Instagram today, a woman, she just got pew in her face by a police for no reason. Because he said that she was trying to throw the pot of water on him, which I seen the video. I don't know if y'all seen it, but y'all need to go check that out. But it was terrible. And there was an innocent person losing their life because he didn't like how she spoke to him. We don't need that. It's just, like it said, you got to pray for him every day. it's always a blessing to make it back home. So,
Amen.
Amen.
yeah.
Well, Kortney, we're gonna get you back on. I know you got to go, but you're gonna get you back on.
It was nice meeting y'all. Have a nice
So
weekend.
You too.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
See you.
So, Yolanda, we'll go to you. So, how does it, like, do you have any fears that when your boys leave home, or now that they're out on their own, you're not there to monitor what they're doing, you're not there to do any of that kind of stuff? So, do you have any fear, even though you raised an amazing young man? Do you have fears?
Absolutely.
And because of the color of their skin.
I was about to say, they may be amazing young men, but these are amazing African American young men, and you see all that is happening in the world today. And yes, I worry about them when they leave home. When they were home, we had, Life 360 on their phones so that we could see where you were to make sure that you were okay. But honey, when they both turned 18, they turned that off. Like, okay, we good now, we grown, we don't need you to monitor us anymore. So there was no Life 360 after age 18. So what I had was good old prayer. So, I said, okay, they said you don't know prayer until your kids get older. And that is when I tell you, I pray for my boys so much, even still, because you never know, they may leave, get pulled over, not make it home. Anything could be going on and they not make it. So I always say, Lord, just keep them covered. When Caleb was still home and he turned that Life 360 off, I was like, Kortney, I'm staying up until I hear that door come open. And even now, I have to tell myself, Yolanda, girl, you better pray and go to sleep, because even still, now that Caleb is farther away from his friends and he has to drive farther, I'm like, I just got to make sure my baby is good. So I'll just send a little text. I'll say, you good? And he'll respond back. He knows that I'm worried. I'm not trying to find out where you are, but he knows, let me calm my mama down and let her know that I'm okay. And he'll just respond back and say, I'm good. And then sometimes he'll text on the way, granted it's after midnight, but you grown, I'm trying to not trip. But he'll text and say, I'm on the way, because I got to make sure you're good. Like if you get pulled over, like she stated earlier, all the things to do. And, the insurance is digital on your phone now. Ask him, is it okay if I get my phone and show you my insurance? Because I don't have anything printed. Like, I worry about all that stuff. Don't speed. Don't do this when you're in the car. Don't have this in the car. Caleb is probably sick of me because I give that feel, especially with him being, in college on campus. And now he's going to be going to Houston. And I told him, I was like, Lord, I don't want you to go to Houston, but I'm going to let you make your own choices. Because, with Grambling, it's in the country. You don't have access to a whole lot. There's not a whole lot to do. Now you're going to be in the big city of Houston. There's so much more. I'm like, Lord, I just need to make sure my baby gets to that dorm every night. But it's once again where I'm going to have to rely on prayer. And you just kind of give me a check-in every now and then so I know that you are okay. It's not just the police. You got your own coming for you too. So you got to watch your back and make sure you're protected at all times.
Yeah. And what about you, Leigh? And of course we can see that you're Caucasian. We can see you're Caucasian. But everybody, Leigh's son, CJ, he's biracial. He is African American, and he's an amazing kid. Now, if you ever meet him, not a kid, he's a young man. If you ever meet him, he's like very respectable. He's tall as all get out now, but he's still a good kid. So, Leigh, do you have fears for like CJ when he leave because of the color of his skin?
Well, and the one thing that we did do, as soon as we got him his car, the window tinting was too dark. And I was like, you're going to get pulled over. That was an automatic thing. I mean, it's like, I think like with a young kid, no matter what color you are, they'll look. But when they see his hair with the dreads and everything, they immediately will start, I feel like. So we took off the window tinting on the front and the side so that it's easy to see in. Mm-hmm. And I do think that those are important things, but everything kind of goes back to basketball with him, like to put things into perspective for him as far as not to talk back. And so like we've talked about that with everybody, like with when you're out on the basketball court, you're respectful. If they call you a foul, I mean, you just, whether or not you did it, don't argue. Because it's almost like once you start arguing, you put a target on you, and so we talked about that, like even if you ever get pulled over, you just are respectful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you need? And so we've talked about every single scenario, and like even when you get to school, if you're doing something, whether or not you did it or not, if they call you out because they assume they saw you do something, you're still respectful. You don't argue back. You just, because I think that there's a fine line between when you start to argue to how they, how they pinpoint you and what they think that your characteristics are, as opposed to seeing where you're coming from. Because when you're respectful about things, I think even as adults, even with us, with teaching, or even, with therapy or whatever you do, you automatically become on the attack because you feel like if somebody is going to talk back, and especially if they feel like they're in a position of authority. So I've always talked to him about that, just because not only being biracial, but also just being a man, and he's big, and so it's like, I don't want him to feel like it. I didn't ever want him to feel like he could intimidate people either, because that also wants people to become on the attack with you and get on the offensive and everything. And so I wanted him to be respectful, but we have had the conversation about, if you do get pulled over, but the first thing we did is took off the tinting, because I was like, that's an immediate pullover. And it's mainly just because.
Yeah. And the funny thing about CJ is that he is tall. He's super tall. He's a big guy, so he towers over you, and he's quiet. So that's like, that makes him like so intimidating when you see him. But as soon as he opened that mouth, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's just a little kid, because he's still a boy, a young boy. I love that about him.
He's 18 and he looks like he's probably 23 or 24. And so, which has always kind of been a problem for him, even in high school, because he's always looked older than what he is. So it's like people expect more out of him. But I think also because he's more built, they think that he's going to be mean. He's going to, and he's like a big teddy bear most of the time.
He's a good kid. So let me ask you ladies this here. So like, what advice would you ladies give like single mothers that are out there trying to figure it out with their boys? Leigh, you can go. You want to go first?
Sure. I would say the main thing is there's a fine line between being their friend and being their mother. Because the minute you start trying to be their friend, you've lost that respect that you need to have as far as being their mother. You can still do things with them, but there's also that thing of, no, you may not talk to me that way. I'm your mother, because I think that when they learn how to be respectful of you, it will help them to be respectful of women in general, and raising a nice young man. Because nothing drives me crazier than when I go into a high school basketball game and the door is shut in my face, and my son will stand and hold the door open until everybody is out. We sometimes might even be the last ones out of the gym, because he will stand until somebody else takes the door, just because it's like, you open the door for people. And, I think that you have to teach, and those are things that they don't just do on their own. You have to teach them those things. I do think the other thing that's important is to teach them the power of prayer, and to point out things to them that happen in their lives as they're growing up, to say, that was all God. God did that, and teach them that you need to pray about that. You really need to pray about that and come up with a good decision. and kind of let them make choices. You can help guide them, but you also have to let them make their choices growing up, because you might not necessarily agree with the choice, but you also have to say, okay, this is the choice you made. We'll do it, and it could come back and be something fabulous for them. And it might be something that makes them kind of fall on their face, but that's how they learn and grow. And there's that fine line between being that helicopter and hovering parent. And I think that you also have to let them have a little privacy. And I probably should have checked more, but I didn't. When he had his phone, it's like you have certain time limits, but I wasn't one of those, give me your phone and let me go through everything that you've been through, because you also, unless they've done something to make you feel like you should search what they're doing, I feel like it kind of helps them to make good decisions, because they're not making decisions based off of, my mom's going to come and check this, so let me figure out how to do all of the deletions. Let me figure out how to, cancel out all the history. So it's like they end up not trying to figure out things that are crooked, and going things the wrong way. I would just say, so you have to give them a little bit of leverage on everything, but you can't, and you don't let them go too far. You still guide them, and I do think it's important to, like I said, point out that was God. Did you see that? And make them pray. And even if their prayer before dinner is, like my stepdad used to do, good food, good meat, good God, let's eat, and it's like, but they're praying. And so it's one of those things that I do think that those are important things, that you're teaching them small things. So when you're no longer there for them, they have that foundation, because they have to, like, even with Yolanda's son, that would be so hard, as that he's like, I got all this down. I got it down. I'm going to live on my own. I got it budgeted, because it's like, no, I've saved up money so you could go to college. I've done this. And what are you doing? You're not following my plan. Yeah. So I think that when you do that kind of thing, I think that especially if you've set that foundation early on in life, to let them know that they can do it, and that you're there, you are there for them, but you're also setting all of those things that when they get out on their own, they're ready to go. They don't need to call you every 5 minutes and ask you, how do I do this? What comes next? And Mom, I need to borrow $500. I don't have enough, because you've taught them those basic fundamentals, but you've also given them all of that.
Nice. Yes. What about you, Yolanda? Like, what advice would you give to a single mom that's trying to figure it out, that's raising a son?
Well, she has said it all. So ditto to all of that. But I am going to just encourage, lean into your help. Like, acknowledge, honey, as women, there are just some things that we cannot teach them. So if you have men in your life and in their life, reach out to them. I know that I did. My daddy, their dad, my brothers, uncles, friends, reach out and say, I don't know what I'm doing over here. I need some help. Or Cameron is doing this. Caleb is doing that. What am I supposed to do in this situation? Because there were times when I truly did not know. So as moms, we don't have to always figure it out or try to get it right. Step up and say, I need help. And then teach our boys to say, listen, I'm trying to do it, Mom, on my own, but I need some help. I told my son that when he moved out, if there is ever anything that you need, don't feel like you can't come to me and ask me for help. Don't ever feel like you can't come back home. At first, I was asking him every 6 months, you want to come back? It's still okay. I won't say a word. You can come right on back home. And he was like, no, Mom, I got this. But I wanted you to ask for help. So as women, we got to do that too. We got on these capes and being superwoman. Honey, let it go. Because we don't have to carry all of this by ourselves. If it's not their dad, I know that there has to be someone that you can reach out to for support. The scouts, whatever it is, get you some help so you're not carrying it all by yourself. and then teach your boys to get help as well. So that would be the biggest takeaway, in addition to all that you said, because that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what everybody has said on tonight has been extraordinary, and I think is very beneficial to everyone. And parenting, I can only imagine. I don't have any kids. I can only imagine the challenges that you guys struggle. And then the world now, kids have so much access to stuff that we didn't have access to.
Yes.
And then also now social media tells them that if you're not doing this or that or this, you're not cool. So that's a whole nother added level of pressure that they have to, try to figure out. And I think one of the most valuable lessons a parent can teach a kid is that you're enough, just who you are. You're enough. And then you instill that alleviates a lot of that need for them to fit into circles, because you realize I'm my own circle. So ladies, this has been like freaking amazing. So okay,
having us.
Absolutely. I wouldn't think of anybody else. When I told Yolanda about the show, she was like, "Oh no, I need to be on that one there," because I was trying to get her to be on another podcast. She was like, "No, I got to be on that one." So yeah, I am happy about that. So I see we have a few people looking out there, and not supposed to give away a shirt. I'm giving away this shirt. So my question, guys, is what does, and this is kind of an easy one, what does Yolanda do for a living, and what does Leigh do for a living? That's easy.
That's easy. Y'all got that one.
That's easy. So what do the two of them do? So Lasonda said, great words of wisdom, ladies. There's a village that will help. You don't have to do it alone. So true.
Amen.
So true. So if y'all want this shirt, what does Yolanda do for a living, and what does Leigh do for a living? Yolanda, if they don't answer, I guess you don't have to make a shirt.
All right then.
Y'all, I'll be working the heck out of Yolanda.
But I love it. I'll do it.
Okay. Well, hey.
Well, listen, it's right up under our names, but okay.
Yeah, it's right up underneath their name, but okay. Okay, so
social worker, yes.
Social worker, that's right, Robin. Now, what does Leigh do? Come on, Robin, you got this. You got this.
So close.
It's on her name, Robin. Let's see what we got.
Oh, she's. Yep,
no,
she's a therapist.
Yeah, Yolanda's a therapist. Yes.
What about Leigh?
What about Leigh? Let's see here. A therapist and an entrepreneur. Okay, Tyson, we got you going. We'll send. Let's see here if Robin may have come back. We'll want to. Oh, let's say great job, great show, ladies. Keep doing and being a blessing to your kings. That's what's up. Tyson, DM me your address or text me. You got my telephone number. Text me your address and we will get this shirt. So Yolanda, I think Tyson wears a medium. So yeah, go ahead and make his shirt up.
Got it.
And we good, Tyson. Just send me your address. Ladies, thank y'all for coming on. Guys, we will see y'all next Monday, 7 p.m. right here. A Different World is the show that we're talking. Got some Gen Zers that are going to be on here. Let's see here. Who we got?
Yeah.
JoJo McCoy said music teacher. That is right. Yolanda, we're going to start giving away more shirts. That's what we're going to do.
Come on with it. We can do that.
Come on. We can do that. We can do that. So next week, got some Gen Zers that are going to be on the podcast next week. And we are talking in a different world because they are living in a different world. I don't understand them, but we're going to have them on here and we're going to get some understanding next week. So make sure y'all tune in next Monday, 7 p.m. Great job, ladies. Thank you, Dewan. Thank y'all for coming on, ladies. And everybody else, peace.
Thank you.